The Florida Association of School Administrators Finals begins now. My partner in crime, as always, Hail Monkey Man, joining me, Bear Light here to cover the action from Florida and the Florida Association of School Administrators, who we're very thankful for. Providing this amazing opportunity for these esports students in their biggest moments of their lives coming up. Rocket League finals, Smash finals on the way. But Rocket League first here, Hill Monkey Man, and quite a story we have brewing between these two teams.
Yeah, two teams that they met once in the regular season, and it went all the way to game five. Believe it or not, the top seed did not come out the better. So it's not an undefeated season, but more of looking for something to come back to, a goal to achieve. Not just a fall championship, but to undo that one little blemish that was left on their record. We have the Windermere High School Wolverines, and of course, they're the ones that were taken down during that regular season by Cape Coral High School's Blue Seahawks. And that was a heck of a game five, but this has been a very similar run through this playoff bracket, Bear. And I want to see if maybe it comes down to that one big dramatic finish.
You start off with a sweep to kick off the bracket. You think you got your head of steam going just by yourself. And then there's a team across the pitch, across the way, across the bracket in this circumstance who is now turning and is the exact mirror of what you've been doing. 4-1 for both of these teams in the semifinals. Wolverines over the Patriots Elite on that top side, and the Blue Seahawks working their way through RLPBL. Retro Rams won. Quite the name, and unfortunately not quite the results for them. But the Blue Seahawks will be the beneficiaries of that situation of Cape Coral High School, made up of Zach Ziv, Sly, and Jazer the Fan, not the player in freestyle. Ooh. And across the way, the Wolverines, though, they've been absolutely on fire. I'll let you introduce this team. They are also made up of a team that absolutely deserves to be here and is ready and fired up.
Yes, this is going to be Eyes Wallenstein, Joxy, and Rapaxi. And of course, the only blemish on what could have been a perfect regular season record is, in fact, the players in the Blue Seahawks that stand right in front of them. I love these kinds of matchups, and I love these kinds of records because it's a reminder that there is so much work to do, not just from a regular season standpoint, but from a postseason standpoint. And you're saying like this is the biggest game. It is at the end of the year, at the end of the semester, because there's an entire spring in the future, but everyone all focused in, especially for the state of Florida, for this particular matchup. And I can't wait to see if the Wolverines have done enough work to get themselves in proper position to take down the Seahawks, or if the Seahawks are just going to play a repeat. And we got to see some dominant features, 4-0 and 4-1, so it's been pretty separated from the rest of the group. That means both these teams are holding each other very respectable. Going to see if it's very, very close at the very end.
Yeah, and I feel like it's going to come down to an any given Tuesday situation here. Yes, Tuesday on the calendar. Here, these two teams, I mean, it really could go either way. I know it's a cliche. It really, truly is. But these two teams have been getting it done during the regular season. Obviously, like we've said plenty of times, Blue Seahawks have beaten this team before. The Wolverines have fallen at their hands. So you know, and you've done it once before. That could give you the confidence rolling in. But it is a big moment, yes, at the end of this semester. And yes, you'll have the spring semester as well. Not a whole lot of high school students will be graduating at this point in time. But then on the other side of the coin, you want to make sure you get this statement now, because who knows if you're going to end up in the playoffs next time around. Obviously, you have a stacked team that can get the job done. But when you've had a season like the Wolverines have had, you know that their eye is on the prize and that their goal is to walk away with nothing less than the championship here today.
Yeah, very much true. I mean, they had the one loss, and it was one best of five that went all the way to five, and a cluster of three full game five series during the regular season. That one of those three ended up being the one that now they have to face again to see if they can be able to overcome those past demons. On the other side of the pitch, Blue Seahawks, they actually had only one game five, and they were able to take that, and that was in fact against these Wolverines that they're going to be facing again. Otherwise, everything was either a sweep or very kind of lopsided, and one of the few losses that they actually had was to Doral Academy in those Firebirds, but the Firebirds were taken care of on the other side of the bracket, so they didn't get their own chance to try and undo maybe some of those learning curves that they gained along the way. But this is one of those that now they have to showcase that they're able to kind of stand in front of it. And it's a best of seven, so it's a much longer tenure onto the pitch to have to deal with it. I mean, you know, sometimes we talk about upsets. Maybe at that point in time, it wasn't so much an upset. It was maybe a week 4, week 5 kind of situation. But when it goes this deep in a bracket, you don't get to have a shock and awe campaign. The Wolverines will be really, really ready.
They are ready. And you can say the same for the Seahawks. There's no doubt about it. And these two teams, like we mentioned, such a big moment, and you have to be ready right off the bat. But are you ready? As a not, maybe you're just watching right now. Maybe you're also playing the game of Rocket League, Smash Brothers, so the many things that the FASA offer. But one thing is for sure, enrollment for the spring 2024 Play versus spring semester. The 2024 season is now open for enrollment, and it is completely free to compete. Discover the opportunities that Play Versus offers and get all the details on the upcoming spring season at playversus.com. That is playvs.com, like you see on that graphic. Don't just be a spectator. Come out and play. Well, we're about to see these two teams play and play around with perhaps their emotions of the other side. I'd like to see some tricky play. These two teams have seen one another before. That means, well, if you're coached well, which I imagine you are with Karen Ash on the side of Windermere and Lamar Bryant on the side of Cape Coral and the Blue Seahawks. But at the end of the day, those adjustments might have been made, but you have to be one up and one ready and be ahead of the game and catch those little changes from your opponent and be the better of the two when it comes down to game time.
Yeah, and this is, just going to be an entire semester's worth of practice. I mean, you're saying that we may even just see all these players kind of stick with us from this semester going to the next semester, and of course, maybe be just as dominant. And, a game of physics and sometimes a game of chance, depending on how you execute out onto the pitch. And the coaches honestly just need to keep everyone calm. You've done all the practice. You've come to this moment. You've set the table for yourself, and it's just about eating what you've been able to cook up. And at that point, it's now, all right, who's got the better dish just prepared into each of these games. And, game number 1 of best of 7s, I always get to talk about how this is going to be one of those feeler out games. Exact the speed, maybe set that kind of early tone, but it's because it's a longer series, you get that tiny bit of leniency. Maybe you're not ready in the early onset of it. Game 2 will then start to really manifest, and by game 3, we'll know the real definition of this series, because we could be at 2-0, we could be at 1-1s, and someone's still looking to just take a BO7 to a BO5 and further squeeze that differential on down. But I mean, it comes down to the fact you just have to be ready, and you're going to have to win your ones, win your combos. I want to see who's going to be passing better today, and that's really going to be the better execution state we'll see.
It really will be. Passing is everything, and you not even just in reference to creating offensive chances. I like to see the defensive passes, because at this level of play, when you get down to a championship game like we're about to head into, you have to be ready on both sides of the ball. And those outlet passes will be everything. We'll see which team gets to it first as we begin the best of 7 of the FASA Finals for Rocket League. Let's crank them up. Hail Monkey Man, we're ready to go.
Wolverines going to be in blue. Blue Seahawks, they're going to be in orange. If you think that's confusing, so do I. But the early pressure is going to be held with Sly and a nice bit of control, forcing the Wolverines to have to play slow early on. And I was talking about tone setting and trend setting. You want to see if this is going to get into a fast game. Are you going to go for high mech plays? Is this all just going to be about very slowly and methodically working your way up and down the field? Wolverines already showing they will stay composed.
Have been really, thoughtful in their processes, in their thinking here on the defensive side. And the Blue Seahawks have done a good job to trap them here on this side as well. As Ice was not able to get a touch here, Sly's got the bump as well that potentially freed up Zach Ziv. Shot was taken, but it was a little bit off the mark. He'll have to rotate back out into rotation. Now Blue Seahawks staying here. They have elected to just have a presence at the midfield line no matter what. No other way around it. They want to keep in this offensive side, but finally it'll be the Wolverines to clear out to their zone.
And just one big 50 that kind of gives them that chance, but it's a very short-lived one, as Eyes is going to be looking for Raxi. It's going to be given a lot of extra floor space. That, like you were talking about, they are contending from very far up the field. They don't want to give up this back third to have to then have their own backs to the wall for defense, and even when it just kind of leaks there for all of a moment, it ends up getting launched and kind of a soft miss. Low 50-50, Sly will pick up, and Sly's been that key initiator to really keep the Blue Seahawks running forward onto that back half, but the Wolverines have gained inch by inch, and now they're finally taking a turn on offense.
And when they get going, that's what made them so successful over the course of the regular season. So you have to be prepared, have to be ready to go, and be able to counter this and be able to jump back in. That credit the Wolverines for sticking it out there on the defensive side. We said passing will be key out of the defensive zone, and that's a big reason why. When it's held down at the midfield, the only challenge, the only option that you're going to be given here to get around that midfield presence is by finding those passes out of the defensive zone and make them clean, make them hit, and then make sure whoever is being passed to is ready to go and get that next touch. And Zaxib gonna fake them, and it fooled the defense of the Wolverines. It'll be the Blue Seahawks that get on the board first.
This next touch right here draws Blypen up just enough, and Zaxib was in a moment right there to at least challenge. It wasn't a lot of speed, but it was just enough to make the next defender to have to go for the 50-50, and because of that, you already had that other guy rotating through. It will get on their dome, and that becomes a slight mistake as it was a 2v2, but it was all about timing, and so the Blue Seahawks do find first purchase of an elongated offensive, and Blypen, we're going to be tied at 1 at 2-2-2.
Blypen was the one that was actually not able to come and save. A bit of an own goal to kick things off, but you know, then you get right back to it. It's just as important to have clean play, and it's the same amount of importance to be able to bounce back from a mistake or, you know, a situation that actually is just unfortunate on your ends. But now, oh, a dangerous dribble there in the middle, but they're able to bail him out. Great job from the teammate as Ice Wallenstein able to get across, make that save. But the Blue Seahawks keep on going.
They do. And some of their antics were a little bit all in, or kind of bump and chase, dump and chase when it comes to some of these longer plays. They work it to the backboard, and then they respond there from. This is going to be Zach with the initial touch, bring it to the side so that the first attack can't challenge thereafter, but it becomes a one-on-one. You see two lurking for the Wolverines. They both wanted that to squirt out so they can just shoot it right back to the box. This has been slow play, and it's been very much, all right, what do you simply drop into my zone? What can I go and find on some of this more open floor? The Blue Seahawks seem to have seceded more green grass, and that's turning into another longer offensive before they get this clear.
Yeah, and if Raxi had a little bit more on that shot, that would have been a challenge. Oh, what a save there, taking it out as Blypen. Got up a little bit later than he needed to. But at the end of the day, the job was done as they were able to recover and make a big save there in a timely moment. Especially when we're taking down to just about a minute left in this game number 1 of this best of 7 if you're just joining us. And this FASA Finals matchup between the Wolverines of Windermere High School and Cape Coral High School. The Blue Seahawks, if they were, as they are. Guys, Wallenstein going to be 50 here. Under a minute left. It's really going to come down to who has the next best grade A chance.
Slowly plinking along the wall onto this much slower Blue Seahawks offense. They've been relying on some of these pump plays. That's a great back pass, but it is at least well read by the initial attacker. And so you'll have them retreat. Eyes going for a control, and that's a double commit, so you only have one extra person that has to go field it. But the demo by Sly as they rotate defensively is going to thin out the counterattack opposition. Wolverine's going to send one to the sky, and Raxi won't have enough boost, so they relied a lot on having to retreat. They do steal something from the midfield and the corner, and that's also going to just be more neutral space that no one's finding the advantage of here, Bear, and we're less than 10 seconds to go. Blue Seahawks, I mean, they're going to find themselves with that last attack against them.
Oh, and you saw as Ricos was trying to find that outlet pass, but it was not to be handled by his teammates. So game 1, we see just how close these teams are. We said they mirrored one another in the bracket, as in their results in a favorable manner, a 4-0 to kick things off in round 1. And in the semifinals, they both won by the count of 4-1 in that season, in that series, rather. Now opportunities developing here for Blue Seahawks. Again, Ricos takes a shot, fires it on. Not enough to fool that defense as they're able to get a couple of touches out of the zone.
The offensive plays are so meticulous. Nothing really too fast, no, not furious. Just simply waiting on something kind of to get aired out. And that's going to be a reliance on good rotations if you're going to be doing that. Raxi, they almost take a step too far, and that actually puts them in an awkward position, yet they still make a great recovery touch and an extra as everyone commits up from the Blue Seahawks. And so now Sly has to play for a lot more time than they really wanted to. They're able to get one touch before Blypen starts really squeezing the box around him. That's a passing play. Oh, very lucky on the Seahawks. That one just barely made it through, but no one got the score.
Yeah, exactly. And you saw Zaxib come around in support too and have that. Look at all this space given up as well. Rico's had that opportunity, but the Wolverines were able to shut him down before he could get anything developed. That's a good 50-50. Back off that ceiling, but Blypin read it, and now we're actually left in this 1v1 with an opportunity at least, as Rico's got some help. The back check, if you will, to use hockey terms from the Blue Seahawks, will pay off there as the Wolverines were knocking on the door.
Rico's with the recover. Sure, but it was Zach Ziv that actually got over top. That's Blypin setting up for a double tap, wide angle. They don't get on top of the ball, having to use everything in reserve, and they just kind of over-adjusted. Now you have two defenders on the same exact side wall. Rico's will get it first in front of Zach, and they're kind of linked to the hip. Blypin may find an open net. This is going to be dangerous, but it does go at least wide for the Blue Seahawks. Wolverines, they have been very much searching, sniffing around this net. One extra chance. Zach Ziv left on the floor at 1v2, and they can't make the read. Eyes is able to crash on in, and that's going to be game one for the Wolverines.
I really like the way that Blypin stepped up here for the Wolverines Lime in the championship in order to create poise late. It was his own goal that actually, set them up for a 1-0 deficit earlier in that game, but you fight through it, you get the next goal, and then in overtime, you're able to get the setup there and the assist. Well earned on that assist as well, and their defense was shutting it down. A shot count highly favored the Blue Seahawks, and yet you had, was that 9 total saves? Make it 10, even 10 saves here for the Wolverines Rocket League Lime, whose defense shut it down. It starts with defense, like we said in the championship game, and then you can translate to offense like we saw in overtime.
They saved 10 of the 11 shots that the Blue Seahawks put up, and the only one that then made it through was the one that was the only score. So great job overall, and they recovered very well after just a lot of extra aggression by the Seahawks. It was inside of the first minute, and then everything just became this chess match of neutral zone. That you had so much of it just kind of being banged over the midfield line, and nothing really biting out of the Wolverines. Yeah, that one time it made it in, but that was just kind of a slow 2v2. And I mean, slow feels like a negative connotation or denotation sort of word in this moment, because it's more meticulous, it's more methodical. I just want to see if anyone's executing faster, and that may happen and go to these later games when they finally get into competition speed, feel more comfortable.
Yeah, and what we mean by the feeling out game, because you're absolutely right, Hill Monkey Man, is the balance that we saw from these players in order to change the pace from going quickly to slowing it down and playing more methodically. We saw a lot of times where there's a lot of room given up by the defenses. These defenses, they put on a show, but they're not perfect. And they did give up a lot of room that could be exposed by either of these teams. And at the tail end of that, obviously, the Wolverines got the better of the two in that game one. But whether or not that continues, I mean, it was that close in the score line. And I know it wasn't on the shot count, but it did feel like that game was relatively close.
Yeah, it very much was. And whenever kind of I describe it before as being not at a snail's pace, but I was told by some former pros before and some that are now, when you want to make the game go fast, you actually slow down because you want to be more careful but more particular about how you want your next actions to go upfield. If you're just kind of errantly being a gold or plat and just kind of hitting the ball like me and just banging it off the wall, you're not going to get the same things. You're not going to get any of those set piece plays that can get to your teammates. And we saw that a time or two that really did kind of work out. And speed can kill both different directions. And this one was much better for the Wolverines because you saw it. I think that for the majority of what it was like just short of 2 minutes, they held that ball on the Seahawks half. They were constantly being rotated on and having their boost stolen. Now, we didn't see a lot of the demo game, maybe a couple, but that's something that will get elaborated as we go into these next games.
And a lot of lesser teams, out there who are struggling to find identity would get nervous because it wasn't always that way. It felt like the Wolverines were actually pinned in their own end for the first minute. And in a championship game, you can kind of get in your own head and be like, oh man, we're being outplayed. We're being outplayed. We need to change something good. And you really, start to freak out a little bit. But they seemed really cool at the end of the day to get through that lobby. So I was very impressed there. Speaking of lobbies, we're getting a fresh one for you here on the Rocket League side in servers. Obviously, with new season, we want to make sure everything is good to go. Lag is no bueno. But again, we appreciate you watching the FASA Championships here for Rocket League. About to hit into game number 2. What are your key points that you're taking away or into this next game, number 2, rather?
Well, considering that this is being played in Florida, make sure that the one person that's guarding the Ethernet cable outside from all the gators denies that from happening. So good job to the Gator Wrangler
There you
out
go.
there in Florida. Look, every school has one. I know they do. So they're just swatting them with like a mop or a broom or just something. So keep that one going. But also, I mean, everything was at kind of a like, all right, we're simply looking for, is there a tendency? And I think that you and I got to see both Bly and Sly, which is kind of, I'm hoping Bly Penn, that's the way they say it, because that's actually a great kind of across the field rivalry that we could paint about how they initiate in the early game versus later game. Sly seemed to be really kind of cut down. You saw Zach Ziv for the Blue Seahawks really kind of coming alive a lot more, feeling like they needed to cover down for both their teammates, and that's where some of the double commits were coming in. Whereas for Bly Penn, that one actually ended up being those open chances that then got the Wolverines way wider gaps, and it's just getting your teammates like, all right, it's one game, big win, big loss. Look, imagine that each game is its own isolated feature. Don't have to do too much too soon. It's a best of 7.
Exactly. You have plenty of time. It was a 1-goal game at the end of the day. You outshot them too. Like, I know they weren't, premier S tier shots. They were just
Right.
trying to keep pressure on, per se. Definitely not taking anything away from it, because that is a viable strategy. I mean, it kept the Wolverines at bay for a solid minute to begin, and then plenty of times in between, you saw flashes of that exact same thing. I don't change my strategy at all if I'm Blue here. I think Mr. Bryant over there on the Cape Coral side will go back to his team and say, we played that well. Keep the same strategy. We just got to execute a little bit stronger when it comes to the mistakes of Wolverines. In fact, it was the own goal of Bly rather than Sly that gave the Blue Seahawks a lead in the early little bits. And I figure if you continue with that, you'll see some similar results in game 2.
Yeah, and it's also one of those that I count it way less of an own goal because they were rotating in anyway, and it was just you get turned into a backboard every now and then. I have had to be that person that living just surface that gets ricocheted on all the time. So it happens. So we go into game number 2. Wolverines, they are up 1-0 in the series. We appreciate your patience, and I want to see if some of these executions happen a little bit faster because we already got a shot inside the first 5 seconds.
Yeah, and he got like another timeout of sorts, right, for both teams, really, so they had more time to talk about what they saw in game 1. I imagine this will be a very clean game number 2, because it was so clean in game number 1 anyways. The Cubs will look to settle past 1. Great job to use his ceiling to get there. Raxi eventually will get a touch, try to get away. Ricos is there. Good shutdown by Bly. Another one from Eyes. 2 big back-to-back saves for the Wolverines. We said the Blue Seahawks need to come out and create great chances. That was one of them, but the Wolverines were just up for the task.
That was beautiful. The only thing that maybe in the moment you can look 2020 hindsight is to just what? No! All the good defense, and then no one can get handles on the ball. I was gonna say the only thing Blue Seahawks could have maybe done differently is fake out the second shot, but unfortunate for Eyes and everyone involved thereafter. The first one goes to the Seahawks, sure.
It's deja vu. It's deja vu. The Wolverines' defense was so solid. 2 huge saves. The only thing the Blue Seahawks need to do, Hill Monkey Man, is apparently just lob one towards the net. And just maybe the Wolverines will make a mistake like that. It doesn't happen often, clearly. They won game 1, and they did it pretty methodically. So to see that mistake, I mean, needless to say, we don't want to harp on it too much. So we play on. We digress. That would never happen in the eyes of the Wolverines.
In the words of a famous Englishman, this is rocket. It happens every now and then. A shot on target. This one actually has an extra chance if anyone wants to crash the gate. And you get Eyes stepping up to the plate. Things fell apart a little bit ago. We're all tied up. Doesn't matter.
Is active? I thought he might have done enough. Try to maybe rely on Sly a little bit too much to jump into place and to top of the box to get a touch out, but credit the Wolverines for sticking in it. Yet another mistake where they just put it by the wayside, or they just kind of brush it off the shoulders here. Be able to get the equalizer, and Bly once more. Raxi couldn't get the handle on it. Now it's up to Rico. The other way, shot taken, and a bullet. It'll be Blue Seahawks up 2-1. They regather that lead. Unlike that game 1, they're on top.
This is an opened up game there. I mean, Braxy, they were trying to get that one in step, and that's one of those that you're not really prepared to jump for. So it ends up going behind them, and the third man was just a post too far. So off of this, I would not be surprised if Braxy crashes the game to try and get this one very early and tie it up. In fact, they go for the setup. Pen with the drop on, but not in. And the next one is denied. Exactly what I was expecting out of the Wolverines. They're trying to immediately get this one neutral.
It's Pin to trap it there on the wall. A little bit settled down there from the Blue Seahawks right in the hands of Eyes. And now he's got room to work with, touches it down, but tried to sneak it between two defenders. But Ricos is ready for it and got the touch. And Raxi will launch it back in here for the Wolverines. Got multiple opportunities, but that one's relatively loose. Raxi will get the demo instead of the ball. Now Blythe's going for that back wall, double touch it in! What a shot! 2-2, Wolverines equalize.
Oh man, Rico's not in no man's land. They were the next one to come up, but because the attacker was already so close to the ball, they can get that high pop, and then no backboard defender. It's tough because they were immediately on that previous rotation set to the floor, and no one was available. Thus, it's a 50-50 or more like a 95-5, because that was all to the shooter. Pen, flip reset off to the pass. Raxi crashes through regardless, and that's going to be Rico just looking for floor space, but the Wolverines have gone right back to work, and this has been a chaotic rotation to say the least for the Seahawks as their defense is just scrambling.
Left with it, top of the box. They did look like they were in a bit of a panic, but now it's settled back down, and with 2 minutes left, no better time. Try and kick out, slide, ran into Eyes, still there and challenging. So many Wolverines so far upfield, if they haven't been paid for it yet. I almost did there. Pen able to get back to it. Here's Recobes. Right back to it. Use that back wall, try to find a teammate, but they're a little reluctant to challenge in that situation. Wolverines showing aggressiveness, whereas the Blue Hawks have really been sitting back. It'll be an interesting bit of tug of war for the most part, watching these two different styles go to work.
Detective is really kind of keeping themselves supplanted as the third man. That's an unfortunate touch that was on target to his own net, and what it's really been its own goal. But I mean, at this point, there's a lot of separation, and Recoves, doesn't have a chance. Raxi gets right to the top of the box. This is Pen doing exactly what we saw them do late term in game number 1, and that's a great wall setup, and someone just has to go. Raxi does.
You want somebody on your team where, they are the ones facilitating the play. Whether it's a goal that they have in their back pocket, that's great. But assist to help your other teammates out and your other strikers get to work, that's what Pen's been doing. And it's such a strong asset to have in these high school teams. Oh, Raxi showed off a little bit of that speed, wasn't he? But wasn't able to get that shot off on time. They still got this lead, trying to add to it, but a big save by Sly on the other end too.
This is a whole bunch of spears, and they're all poking with these Wolverines. That's been Bly, that's been Raxi. Raxi's gotten so much faster. This has become the main combo. They actually play for the fake out that nearly sneaks in. Bly will though. I mean, if it's not Raxi, it's Bly. If it's not Bly, it's Raxi. And this was a great flip reset to get all 3 defenders to bite.
It was, and the Wolverines, I'm used to seeing them play a little bit more aggressively and get that goal a little bit sooner, because that fooled the defense from the get-go. They're not expecting a flip reset. They probably haven't seen it all season long, to be quite frank. I mean, even at the high school level, you're still developing your skills to some degree, and it's all about location of where you're at. So the skill's pretty diverse, and so, to see them be prepared for a flip reset, it's rare. The Wolverines got on the board regardless of how long it took Bly to get there, and it was an excellent setup nonetheless. Down to 15 seconds left, and the Blue Seahawks will need a strike here. Here's a chance and opportunity as all 3 members will commit to this one. A blunder there finally from the Wolverines. It hadn't happened since about 1 minute into this game. But with 9 seconds left, at least you have a chance for a kickoff play here to the Blue Seahawks.
That's Raxi doing too much. I mean, they're on something right now. The adrenaline is there. They and Pen were doing so good offensively that it's been a while since they've had to go onto the defensive half, and then they jump in front of the rotation. Eyes has been that third man position. Recoves trying to set up a double, but Raxi, you know what? Too much becomes just enough. They get that kill on the other side of the pitch. The Wolverines will grab their second win. And that's how you really step in and say, hey, on me, let's get this done.
This time, the shot count looked a lot different. The Wolverines way up there in counts. I don't even know if I can do the quick math on that. I can't actually. 16 to 6 over the Blue Seahawks, who didn't take as many shots, and yet they still pulled the game within one. The Blue Seahawks have their way of sticking around, but for how long? You have to eventually get a game that's going to be defined by you. Otherwise, you're going to let the Wolverines walk away with this one a little bit. I did like how they were able to take advantage of the blunder there defensively. There's a bit of a double commit, triple commit. You have to finish those, and that's what's keeping them in it. But you have to get those goals in addition to the goals that you actually set up for yourself to have a purpose, like we've seen from the other side, like we've seen from Raxi, and of course from Flypin, just setting everything up to a T. So I'd like to see a little bit more of that control, of that purpose from the Blue Seahawks. We know they're capable of it. Let's see if they can get it done here in game 3.
This has become who wins the 2v2. Is it Fly and Raxi, or is it Sly and Rico? Because it's not exactly like either third is not happening, but Zach Ziv, this is one of the few times we've seen him now within the past couple of games really take that early step up, big demo. That's going to thin it out, and that's going to be a defense that is just not there. Rico's got a little assist from the top end by, I think that was Zach Ziv, who came crashing in, but taking advantage when they finally get the men out of the way.
Yeah, and you have to say, you know, for eyes there, trying to play that out to the corner. That's what you're taught to do, is to get in the corner. But the Blue Seahawks were so quick to get to it. And again, that's what we're talking about. Play with the purpose. Be ready for it. And that's what they did. You can tell his team has been coached up. Lamar getting into the comms and making sure that these players are prepared here for this one, which feels like a do or die here, down 2 in a best of 7.
Now this is exactly where best of 7s become full definition. You were waiting for a tone to be set by the Blue Seahawks. Rico recovers to that crossbar. Definitely necessary to make sure that they stay ahead of the Wolverines. They need to build upon this lead. We've not seen a 2-0 as of yet, really from either side. We saw, what, a 4-2 at one point. So multiple goal leads have existed. But you know the Blue Seahawks want to build upon this before they would let the Wolverines get back into this game.
For the Blue Seahawks, you can tell they're really, you know, playing a simplified game, and I love that. And it's what's keeping them close. They're not going to be the flashy team. They're really not. You know, when you're playing against this Wolverines team who's been doing it all season long, you don't have to be. It's given them a lead in multiple times in this series. The only thing they haven't really been able to accomplish is holding on to it and closing out. Right now, they got to hold on defensively as Blypen will crash the box, but it'll be Rico's the challenge. 50-50 will go ceiling wide. Sly will use that back wall instead. Good patience knowing you have room, but Blypen's all over it too, but he won't be able to connect in that instance. Pass back to Ice, but Rico's back on it. Back to the 50-50. Rax will fire, but Zach Ziv better on that opportunity and a big clear.
The slight chaos that this rotation has been for the defense of the Blue Seahawks. I have been so impressed with how patient they've been still with it. A shot put back. Unfortunate as they gave an extra option. Raxi actually just racked it to the near side post, and that's a let by Rico's over to Sly. So good looks at that point in time. Flypen dropping through, and that's a triple commit. The Blue Seahawks are hanging on to a single goal midway right now at the game number 3, where they definitely need to win this game or else face a reverse sweep to fight back into this series and have to take it in that fashion.
Bit of a dangerous play there from Ice, but you're right. The Blue Seahawks have been a little bit reluctant to get the challenges. They've given up a whole lot of room. Whenever you see Flypen up the air, the first thing you should think in your mind is to get that challenge off. And I think they're working on that. Rico is working on his shots clearly in the training pack because he's got it down to his science. And the Blue Seahawks a 2-0 lead.
Zach Ziv still getting an impactful touch and pass over as he's holding hands with Flypen. They just kind of drive together, and finally, Blue Seahawks, you know, they found a way to extend this lead, which, you know, after an elongated offensive by the Wolverines, you'd think would not be here. Trying to crash the box again, and Zach Ziv puts it out in open waters. That's a putback. Zach Ziv again. How many times does he have to hand it off? Rico's and Sly on top of each other, and yet they survive.
Yeah, he was back and forth, zigzag, individually. Got to a place where he's comfortable. Now, down the field, good passing play, but Raxi, a good read there defensively. Step up at the exact right time. Had to be there and was with the Wolverines to keep it close. It's not a statement that I've said a whole lot in this series, but it's where we are right now. As the Blue Seahawks, again, nothing flashy. Like I'm saying, they haven't done anything crazy, and they're just taking advantage of when the Wolverines have been committing so far forward. It works again.
Such a rare moment, and I mean, the 50-50 game was being dominated by the Wolverines just a bit ago, so the fact that the Blue Seahawks are getting so many of them in the right direction is a great look. So, and this is an offense that it feels like it lives ever so briefly, but it actually has always been there. It's just the Wolverines are so aggressive when they finally get a chance that it feels kind of helter-skelter when it really kind of stands on its own 2 feet. That one, a great flip reset attempt by Araxi, trying to boom it up, and Blypen is already kind of flying forward. It ends up being eyes on the demo, but eyes are on the prize right now for the Blue Seahawks.
Sly, you'll watch the Wolverines kind of struggle with that as well, trying to settle it down and work. The Ricos is killing time, working back and forth. Sly not killing time. He'll pause time to put another one on the board. 44 seconds left. 4-goal lead from the Blue Seahawks, and a whole refreshing, different feel here for the Blue Seahawks, just being able to find everything and play so much cleaner.
I mean, you know what? This, if there's ever a game to give away, if you're the Wolverines, I say give away, but this is well earned by the Blue Seahawks. It's going to be this game, though, because we saw a very meticulous game 1. We saw game 2 where the Wolverines didn't let Blue Seahawks play offense basically at all. A 16-6 shot differential for that, by the way. Can't wait to see what this is. I think it's going to actually look pretty even, even with a 4-0, considering how much the Wolverines have been poking and prodding at the Seahawks. So I can't wait to see what the total defensive save position is. Fly to Raxi. That is the combination that we're going to see really coming alive next game.
It's what we came to know and love for the first couple of games, and Blypen again allowed so much room. And the Wolverines were taking advantage of that with their mechs consistently towards the ceiling, push it high, and then typically you'll find the Blue Seahawks were waiting until, you know, the flip reset developed, until they had the right moment there. And maybe you wait a little bit too long. The Wolverines, if they're able to make these solo plays happen, and Blypen has proven that they're capable of it, we'll have to do it a little bit more, because the Blue Seahawks will walk away with this one, at least a 3-goal deficit for the Wolverines that they'll have to fight back, learn from as well. But you're right, if there was anyone to lose here for the Wolverines, perhaps it would be this one. And the Raxi-Blypen combination will have chances to pop off again as we head into game number 4 here momentarily.
Yeah, good looks by the Seahawks. This is the moment where obviously you get coached up and you get chances to really establish your squad. And this is what I was talking about. Look at the shot differential, but holy cow, look at the shot differential. Eyes and Zach Ziv truly playing into a kind of a third-man position. Eyes obviously is going to want to get more involved next time, but 8 out of 10 shots by Raxi. The 4 out of 6 over to Recoves. And that dynamic duo, that 2v2, it's not that Zach Ziv nor Eyes are uninvolved, nor non-existent. It's simply that both of those first combos are fighting from the midfield. There were so many 50-50s that really could have gone either way, but it was the defense that stood up long enough for the Seahawks to counterplay better.
And a big portion of this win also is the fact that Ricos can trust the rest of the team to rotate around and play defensively and therefore get those shots off. How many big saves do we see from Ricos or recoveries on the defensive side from Ricos? And then, you know, you're stuck trying to make those defensive plays constantly. Now that transitioning to the offensive side, again, right off the bat here in game number 4, got more pressure on for the Blue Seahawks. And if this is a trend that's going to continue here, the Blue Seahawks definitely have a good shot. And almost so did Ricos, but he wasn't able to connect quite frankly on that first, or not quite a bit on that one. And now we remain scoreless here for the 30 seconds, but already off to a high pace on this one.
It's 4 demos inside of like 10 seconds. So you can definitely tell they're trying to get people out of position, and that's really what gave those more glaring gaps by the Wolverines. The Seahawks are looking to just press the issue. Oh, the let go, the slow play? No, that one you just kick as hard as you can. I don't think they were ready to pounce on that ball because that was a couple freebies.
Yeah, sometimes you're just like, well, in the past, I've been able to just settle down and go. No, just go in that one. Yeah, that instance probably would have been better off that way. But again, scoreless. The Blue Seahawks haven't had issues scoring early either. want this lead as well. They're trying to get back to a place where they can equalize this series. And it's been such a close series. Every game within one, except for that last one. And that's where the Blue Seahawks showed that they can actually win. Not only that, but in a dominant fashion. As Ricos will try to get back to work here, you'll see him push into the offensive end.
Some of these rotations have been a bit scary as kind of observer to it, because we've been seeing wider gaps presented by the Wolverines, and they've been taken into across their own net, which is where the Blue Seahawks obviously would want to just kind of run it down and see if they can win some sort of 50-50 slide. This is another freebie situation. Ricos is looking to hand it off, but actually doesn't have to pass. What a flat angle shot. They score it now with 2 minutes gone.
Yeah, Sly came back down, read that the defense was missing, and that touch was all you need to do. Some players will get into a place in a mindset where they have to do a little bit more than just that, but no, just settle it down. You have a teammate in response. Where communication comes in as well for the comms, and then look for a bump instead, and then really free up that space, even though there was not one needed. You get it into a good habit that way by, challenging out, and that's how you improve as a player, by taking and making those defensive plays. Raxi did a good job to beat 2 defenders here for the Blue Seahawks. Sly will just try to bang it off his own wall to try to get out. Ice. He said he was trying to contribute in this one. He will set a blind pin to get a pass across, but Raxi knows better as the third man has to stay quick.
Everyone's tackling on this near side wall as well. That's not exactly what you want if you're trying to establish the same kind of dominant offense that the Wolverines had for the first couple of games. A great touch by Blythe Penn. That's going to reset the initial rotation by the Seahawks as they were attacking the hard right side. Now Raxi with a great crash. Blythe Penn just a little bit late to it, and that's going to be a demo onto Blythe Penn so they can't have a consistent persistence to the back of the net. Raxi wants to take control. This is one of those players that we obviously 8 out of 10 shots in the previous game need to see them take more responsibility to get the Wolverines back upfield.
Yeah, I'd like to see more direct plays too. A lot of this has been, hey, let's carry up the wall, use our mix, and try to slow play it in the air, slow play it on the ground. Up that pace a little bit. You're clearly been stagnant for a while now. You've only gotten 1 goal out of the past 8 minutes now counting. And you want to be able to change that pace. We'll see if Rax can do it. Great fake there though. That's the time you do want to slow it down, when you have that room on the ground, and showed where their true strengths are and where the Blue Seahawks need to step up in order to answer it. And Saxon will step up for that save. They always keep him at bay here as Blypen tries to get it, but denied by Rico.
70 seconds remaining. Blue Seahawks done the damage necessary. They have the 1 goal up. They would love to have had the one that was a little bit ago that was a lot easier to find, but at the minute mark, now the defense for the Wolverines feeling like they have to desperately rotate a little bit faster, and that's actually clustering them up into these perimeter sides. And don't play to the double commits for the Seahawks. You played very clean. If you need to separate a little bit more earnestly, do so. Third man, Zach Ziv comes up, slides in the midfield, and he has to retreat. Rax is going to try and bank this one off of the wall, but a great find by Zach, and now Seahawks can get some relief from their own back side.
Blypen a little bit awkward here, was handcuffed with it, but both teams in support. They got to be careful with the double commits though. But they still have this opportunity now to the midfield, and Eyes was going up like he had that angle, but was a little bit off the mark there and wasn't able to connect, threw off the teammates in addition to just that play. But we'll play it in. Again, maybe took that hit from Raxi, just trying to find that rotation, but a little bit off. Down to 7 seconds left and must transition now. Off the ceiling it goes. Opportunity here. Raxi, the shot taken, but Sly easily up. Will kill it to the ground. And the Blue Seahawks have equalized this series at 2.
Oh my goodness. 2 for the Wolverines, 2 then for the Blue Seahawks, and you gotta think Game 5, this is where both coaches and both programs need to settle everyone down. Raxi had 5 shots of the 6, continuing to be the at least first priority shooter of this triplicate, but Eyes ended up with 2 saves and yet I think more ball touches than the majority of them, considering how they have an equal share, or actually an equal share of scores across it. Whereas that was, all right, let's get down the field, let's force a transition, and Wolverines looked uncomfortable under the pressure that the Blue Seahawks were bringing.
Crazy how just simplifying your game can do this. I have been encouraging the Blue Seahawks to jump out and get the challenges early when they go up the wall. but it's not like they've changed that necessarily, and yet they're still finding success. I think patience is a virtue here for this team. I think it really is. That pace and just matching that pace and then being able to create your own, that's really been the true key for the Blue Seahawks to get them back in this one. So now we're at even ground here, Monkey Man. So it begs the question here. Is this now the Blue Seahawks series to get back and win? And right when you say it, the Wolverines, well, they're going to get on the board off the kickoff.
Bly just flat out winning over Sly. The Bly v Sly rivalry, and Bly showcasing, hey, this is how you get to the ball quicker. So a great start, a ball that was tough to find, and a goal that I think they only had one of the last 2 games. One Wolverines desperately needed to stem the bleeding and showcase to the Blue Seahawks they can get this offense going, even if it's on a kickoff.
Any way you can get it done, really. It's not, they're never going to ask, how did you get it done? They're going to ask, how many goals did you get? Right? And so off the kickoff, you'll be just as happy. Off and running, great start. It'll be the first time also in 3 games that they've gotten a lead to begin. It's been the Blue Seahawks off to really hot starts and trying to continue that same pattern. They were denied. Recobes, nobody back here. Chance for the double. It's just going to go bar down. It had the perfect arc to make it all the way across the field, and nobody could get to it for the Wolverines. They looked lost again.
That Recobes is really good at algebra. Hitting the parabola all the way up there. I used to know all the equations on how to make that one perfectly go, but you know what? They're still in school, and they know exactly how to drum that one up on ye olden calculator. So, Seahawks, they see one surrendered in the first 2 seconds, and they see one turned against them. Raxi's hungry for some shooting out there.
Well, the Blue Seahawks gave them the negative x squared plus 1, and then... And then back to it was Raxi with a little bit of a parabola of their own. Wasn't really a bullet there, but they matched it. And the Wolverines, who are so used to, in the first couple games, getting the flashy goals, are now the ones that are settling down and matching what the Blue Seahawks did, which was by simplifying their game plan, or maybe not. Wypin looked for a clip there, but found the defense of the Blue Seahawks instead.
I am very impressed with you pulling out the equation. But that begs the question, where's the +1? Is 0 at the ceiling, or is it at the floor? Well, I can tell you 0's on the scoreboard. We find 3 for the Wolverines. Ice puts this on target, and then oopsie daisies are getting planted by Sly.
Yeah, Sly just tried to pin it there, maybe for a teammate to step up, or maybe try to pinch it to the corner, but it just didn't work out that way. And, it's sometimes it's just how it be. And, okay, Sly, unlucky one way, lucky the other way. You don't even blink off the kickoff again. This time the Blue Seahawks strike.
Just a quick target, and of course the defender had just rotated. I think that was Bly who went corner trying to find Boost, and you know what? You go screaming at it as fast as you can. We may see another attempt, but no, this one goes a little bit more neutral. Off ceiling will fall wide. So some normalcy to the pitch, but everything out here is normal. It's Rocket League in the first place. And out with 90 seconds, we've already had 5 goals. Trying to settle things down. We've been talking about that a little bit. It's also just kind of getting your game in front of you. Don't have to respond too quickly. Raxi actually gets rid of Recobes. Recobes has been part of that main combo of them and Sly. And Recobes again, you talked about him being defensively sound. They find one from the crossbar.
And sometimes that's what you need to do. Even when the goals from the Wolverines haven't been, the same, you're still capable of playing defensively. It all begins from the backside. You have to cover yourself. Otherwise, the endless goals will flow, especially from the Wolverines, who are just too talented to allow them the opportunity to get going. So Recobes took it into their own hands, and it's really taken this series by storm for the most part. Obviously some work to do in this game, but you've won the last 2 games in a row, and that's where that confidence comes in, or even if you surrender a lead here that's been pretty consistent for the Wolverines in this game, you still feel like in your minds, in your team minds, that you have every opportunity to do this and try to get back into it. But the Wolverines had the answer at least this time.
Oh man, if that previous shot had been on target, then all the bullying that was being done on the goal line may have been able to work out and find us tied up. Instead, you see Blue Seahawks really gaining some ground. Sly's going to work to the outside of this ball, and that nearly gets centered. Be dangerous in the box. Zach Ziv losing a joust with Bly Penn, and now Recobes has to come out inside to outside. Raxi Seahawks in the position they want to be in, as they want to be running upfield away from this blue half to try and go be dangerous where there's more orange hexagons. Less than 2 minutes remaining. We've had 5 goals in the first 90 seconds, and inside of the last minute and a half or so therefrom, we've seen nothing. And I mean, that's just the telling of 2 tapes. You had a lot of goals early, now defense is king.
Is it caught him by surprise for both of these teams? But all these games have been relatively low scoring, but this one is a difference maker. Sly is. That's going to be the hat trick, I believe, from Sly. 2 or 3 goals either way, multi-goal game, and you equalize at 3 with 1:30 left. And to keep it going, now the Wolverines, hands are forced. They need to be able to answer this, get the lead back. We've seen them do it, but the Blue Seahawks, they were up for the task when they went down here. Even with the momentum rolling into this game, they've been able to hold on to this game number 5 and try to keep it to a place where they can hop to match point, because obviously you get a major advantage being able to, whoever wins this game, being able to say that you have 2 chances to close out. Instead, oh, that shot from the Blue Seahawks. Just a little bit off too, but they're still knocking on this door.
Poor Zach Ziv, he had a great challenge earlier that set up the previous goal for Sly, and now you see them running upfield. They do not want to be a statue in the back garden that is the defense of the Blue Seahawks. No, they want to be an active participant, and they have been challenging way more upfield. Bly Penn to the sidewall. They're going to try and center this up. They in fact do so, and it's a shot on target. Not quite deadly enough. Straight down this main boulevard between either net. Blue Seahawks, they've been able to recover from the 3-1 deficit. Ricos can't quite catch up to it after burning through their reserves. Wolverines taking shot after shot, individual play, looking for a setup. That's going to go to Bly, but there's one defensive, and it's Ricos who gets in his way.
And that was a combo you were asking for, that you were requesting from the Wolverines, and they almost pulled it off. They set it up to success, but they just quite weren't able to finish. But they've got 10 seconds left and all sorts of space. The bouncer now backwards from Eyes, but Raxi right there. Shot taken well wide. Sly with 2 seconds left. It's Blypin that beats him to it. Eyes up for it. And now we'll keep it up on this ledge. I'm not sure it did him any favors, as this one will hang there. Still up, but it'll eventually hit the ground. Overtime, game number 5. Who heads to match point? Let's find out.
Eyes up, hands down. This is where everything starts getting developed, and you could have so much more momentum going from this game 5 to 6. Honestly, the winner of this one may be able to live on cloud 9 and then just continue and then take out their opponent therefrom. This is for match point, championship point here for the Play versus Fall Semester Championship. First half minute comes and goes. Sly with a big bang. They've been doing this a lot, forcing this over the heads of the Wolverines. Rico's backboard. Who's there to receive? No one. Oh, missed opportunity for the Seahawks.
It honestly was, and one of the biggest moments they've had. They've had all the momentum. They were able to equalize this game specifically in order to give them an opportunity to play for match point to begin with. The last thing they want to do is make mistakes in these moments. Ricos has been such a large portion of why this Blue Seahawks didn't call quits after a little bit. And look again, big save, as Raxi was geared up to try and take a shot. Now Ricos goes high. Blypin needs the touch and gets it out to the corner, but Ricos again, the double's there to commit defensively from the Wolverines, and they'll get it out in another chance down the field.
Oh my lord, that was a lot of successive offense. Oh, what? Blypin! He gets it from this angle. This is so immediate. Zach Ziv out into open grass. You think that Sly is going to be there, but Blypin goes a bit higher and dunks it in.
And I set him up. Had the eyes on the prize. Yes, I said it because we were asking that be the case here from us to step up and contribute. And guess what we got? The game-winning assist. A perfect setup. Perfect pass for Blypin. We credit Blypin for that crazy angle that he was able to hit. But you can't hit it unless you have a teammate setting you up in that perfect spot with a pass, and that's exactly what they did. And Blypin with an incredible angle there. 7 shots taken and 2 goals there. And back to match point. This time Wolverines able to break the streaking Blue Seahawks here with a win to head to match point.
That was so snappy. That was so snappy. Like as soon as that got popped up by eyes, Blypen was already coming off the wall. Two options. It was either they were going to be flipping out and taking down Sly, bumping them out of the way, and that was going to take away then the clear, which would give a chance either to Eyes or Raxi to rotate up, or just do the work yourself. There's a chance right there. It's this big of a gap, but you only need this big, and you can take down an entire empire. So, all right, we go to series, to championship point for the Wolverines. Bear, this has got to be a tough one to bounce back from, but you have to ask the Blue Seahawks to do so and to force it to go the distance.
Well, if anything's been shown here, it's the players of the Florida Association of School Administrators League here, that the players have heart. Both of these teams have been really challenged, have had their adversity, and yet have faced it to perfection for the most part when it comes to answering the bell when they need it the most. Every big moment we're like, oh, this player needs to step up, this team needs to step up. They have, and I love that about it. And that's why I'm convinced the Blue Seahawks have a decent shot here, a very decent shot to head the distance here and win this one. But the Wolverines, you can say the same. They have equal chance to really close this out. Blypen and Rex, again, those two have been so effective that if they pop off, they really could end this at basically any moment.
Blypen and Raxi taking turns, getting the most shots of their entire team. 8 out of 10, 7 out of 11. And, you know, just like you're talking about, they can be a dominant feature on this offense. The Blue Seahawks have been able to at least find those looks. You have a couple double commits, just like what we get right there. Zach Ziv unafraid to be able to go and challenge him in a great position. A back pass, Sly on the free flip. That's going to leave Recobes alone on this island. At the 120 mark approaching into game number 6. Reminder to everyone, this has gone the distance before. They are used to having to take on each other for a lot of games, but this is even further than we see them in the regular season.
Yeah, sometimes when you talk about high school esports, it can be a little bit one-sided. Even in traditional sports, you see it a lot. But it's when you get this unique case where, you know, the stellar teams at the very tip top go at it, and they are just constantly this close. Basically one goal games the entire way except for game number 3. Every game has been within 1, and that spells rivalry. And that's what this is all about, right? Giving you stories to tell. And both of these teams have definitely given us a story here, and they've given them a demo, giving them the pain on the backside. The Blue Seahawks will open up game 6 with the first goal.
Recobes barely gets to the player before the ball. That was all of a millisecond, just a tiny edge away, and that squeaks over. They delete the defender to open up a gap. Sly backboard. Do they have anyone else there? No, because Raxi will be able to bank it out. We're approaching the midway mark of game number 6. Blue Seahawks have been able to win with one before. They want to gain more if they can have some insurance to it, but confidence is brewing in the Seahawks camp. Previous game didn't happen in their heads.
No, and you saw the results. Now looking for new results. The Blue Seahawks taking by the car of Zach Ziv here for said Seahawks. Trying to escape the defensive side. Blypen really good off their opponent's back wall to set up that pass, but the Blue Seahawks know to look for it now and have been able to shut it down for the most part. The struggle to try to get around Sense. Bly beat to it. Zach Ziv, somehow that got past the last defender. There was somebody in net, but they couldn't quite reach for it. Either way, Blue Seahawks up 2-0.
Okay, this is a zinger on target. Oh no, they're right there. You're too deep in the net, just a little bit. You're also lateral, not facing the ball, as they had just had to make that initial fight from the corner and then rotated as hard as they could, using ball cam basically to just kind of look at it and slide. They get a demo and they get a shot, forcing Blypen to have to answer. So less than 2 minutes to go. Blue Seahawks with 2. And fair, like we're seeing history being rewritten in front of us about these two titans just going at each other and forcing this to possibly go as far as a series can.
And for those of you who don't know, good challenge there. For those of you who don't know, it was the Blue Seahawks that came out on top, even though they were not favored. The Wolverines were. So similar situation here. The Wolverines trying to reverse that story, though, and get a win of their own. They could do it if they get this game win, but right now, time has been ticking, ticking, ticking. 1 minute, 22 seconds left already in this game 6. It feels like it flew by. And the Seahawks looking for their third goal. Shot taken. Oh, a big save. As Blypen able to keep them alive here with a minute 12.
Sealed the deal right there. Raxi's gonna get this touch. Blypen will get it sooner, and that is gonna be disastrous for having that insurance. Now, with a minute 5, Zach Ziv, this has been the confidence that he can really bring to both Sly and Rikovs. He challenges early, which forces that initial touch, but Sly comes way up where there was no chance they were gonna get that in the first place. Blue Seahawks need to play a clean game, want to go back and get those goals. Wolverines, it's time to let it all hang out. The worst that happens, we go game 7.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, lay it all on the line right now. Try to get some forward-facing momentum. They've definitely not slacked on that front. They do like the slow play, but when they get cooking, look out. That one's almost in. The follow-up is a little bit high, too. Blue Seahawks really wanted that for insurance. The Eyes had trouble on the backside here. We'll have to leave it for Blypen. Zaxib on it, shot taken behind Eyes. Look at Raxi with the reaction time. Keep it over the sidewall. 30 seconds left. He's sealing Zaxib, not a whole lot of room to work with, but did work it behind Blypen, so that'll force Eyes up for this instead. Pass back down. Pull it on Raxi. Now plays high, Sly up for it, off the ceiling, back down, Blypen's there. He's got a catch, tries to play it off ceiling now. Where's a teammate? Sly will beat the defender back. Up in the air it goes, Zach Zip challenge, back down, Eyes, sidewall it goes. Blypen up for it again, good challenge from Rikovs. How many times have we said that from him defensively? We head to game 7.
Oh my goodness, we go in the distance, Bear! That was a non-stop repetition of Wolverines trying to fist fight Seahawks, but they kept it to the sky, often where Avians have that superior advantage, and we get to go all the way. Game 7, Wolverines, they were chomping and beating and clawing at those back posts, and it was the Blue Seahawks defense that was able to come up just strong enough. A storied rivalry now that is so true. Momentum just slightly in the Seahawks camp with the W, but Wolverines, they got to think we had a chance. There was maybe a few extra seconds. Something could have happened. We get to go now to championship point on both sides.
And maybe just that little bit of sense could be the difference in a game this big. In game 7, championship, you think Michael Jordan, if you're traditional sports minded, you think who's the clutch factor that's going to bring it through. And we've seen so much talent. It could be anybody. And we'd be lying if we were sitting here saying that we didn't expect it. But here we are, game number 7 between these two. It's Windermere High School, the Wolverines, RL Lime, and Cape Coral High School's Blue Seahawks, who have dug themselves out of match points to get to this level. We begin now.
Hopefully for one or the other, whoever's supposed to be Michael Jordan, it's not the crying Jordan meme. Maybe just another one to add to the old trophy case. Blue Seahawks were able to win in regular season time. Wolverines trying to exact a bit of vengeance, as that's their only blemish on what could have been a perfect record. They fought deep into several series during that season. 3 game 5s, the only one lost to the Seahawks. Wolverines now under pressure. Zach Ziv has really kind of come up to keep this 1-2 rotation in a very successful manner. Araxi, oh, it's Rikovs that always gets them out of dangerous spaces.
I'm telling you, this match has just an all-about-it story that's been told before. And yet it keeps being told in similar ways. Who's gonna break the trends? The Wolverines would be the ones to do it. Or are they capable of this one? Back down. Reed Sly was a little bit too far forward, and Zach Zip didn't want to commit his third man back. Ball back down the ice. Got just enough on it behind the defender to get the Blypen and play back down the field. And Zach Zip is backwards, needs help. Eventually it will come around. A little bit too slow for comfort, but Sly not too slow to have the opportunity to get that clear out. Now Rico's will work on the offensive end, try to get the bump off Blypen, but he's just too fast.
Uncomfortable defensive effort, but it was Zach Ziv calling his name. It's like Sly and Rikovs go forward, Zach Ziv then punches in and then keeps the offense upfield and gives them both a chance to be there. That's now been changed up. Big bump by Eyes. Pen and Raxi having to play this one at least just in a shadow from distance. That's a putback shot. Both defenders go, which means they're very slowed up. Eyes tries to just simply crash there after, use some speed to get through. This defense is on the floor. No one to the backboard. They're going to try dropping in, get some bumps, get some demos, and yet they find enough floor space to get off their goal line as we get to the midway mark of Game 7.
Blypen trying to be a leader here. You saw Eyes was out of boost and called that out too. And Blypen was able to launch it. Nobody back here. This one's going to find a Twine. It's Blue Seahawks up with 2:35 left in this Grand Finals game number 7. And guess who it is? It's Ricos from the defensive side.
Ricos just winning past, I believe that was not Raxi, that was Blypen, who was trying to just punch straight up the center of the field. And Eyes, not in the worst position, but they were just a tiny bit too far up based on where Raxi was trying to roll from the sidewall over. Ricos over the head of Eyes. Raxi has to take a chance at it, and they do. Now they can be able to get one more, but they don't win it past Sly. Eyes, this is gonna waterfall down. There's no one there except for Eyes, who was going for a squishy knock to be able to put the defender out. Now as a counterplay, Rico's trying to do it all himself. Oh, so close.
Yeah, so close for this insurance. They can feel it. Sly almost able to get that angle, but not to be. Ricos still keeping them at bay. Gonna launch it across the box. No real intent to get a shot off there. Really just wants to play it back for possession's sake. Wolverines now time ticking faster than they prefer. Sly trying to stay here in this corner. He's being bullied though. Eyes up for this one too. Ricos, another big save. Up for his Blypen. He'll bury it. Equalizer, 1:37 left.
After all the pressure the Wolverines were under, this was so necessary. You had two backboard defenders. Everyone drops in. Oh man, I think they fell on their own teammate, using the chaos to their advantage. Blypen puts it through. Less than 100 seconds. Blue Seahawks got the first, but Wolverines survived the worst. Zach Siv sidewall, and they will air this one out. Not taken away from the danger zone. Raxi and Blypen, that wombo combo. Blypen already up, but he won't be able to find that next connection.
Zach, Ziv, and Sly, they combine for a pinch. I guess that's okay, but double commits are not something that you want at this point in time. Luckily, they're able to figure it out amongst themselves, and Ricos try for that double touch. Did a little bit too much, though, as they try to get above it. Unfortunately, their car got under it more so. Left, though, a fake. Ricos off the mark. Minute left now. Sly will try to edge it in here into the box, but no teammate found or available at the moment. And Blypen allowed the chance to clear out. They've got a 2-on-1 developing. And Blypen gonna try the quick turn here. They'll just grab the boost instead, look for the bomb, but Sly able to clear out this center, and we'll battle here at middle grounds.
So ballsy, so unnerved, as you just got to see Bly v Sly. And they just jump straight out into open field. Oh, the fake. Raxi versus the world as they take on Zach, but Zach is able to find a piece. Less than a half minute to go. Ricos against two. Crashing the gate, denied. Blypen with another connection. That'll be aired up and out and taken forward by Eyes. Sly gets a piece, and that goes back forward. 15 seconds left. A double commit, and becomes a foot race to try and counter.
And now Ice doesn't have any boost back here either. The bomb! Ricos again! He's done it 2-1 for the Blue Seahawks with 7 seconds left.
Oh my goodness, just getting ahead of it, tackling Eyes, and getting through the blue wall of the Wolverines. 7 seconds to go. That's the average amount of time for a kickoff goal, and that's what the Wolverines need. You go sidewall, looking to get underneath it. It's gonna be to the backboard. Ricos is the savior, puts it to the corner. Raxi on the back corner now. Blypen and Raxi stalled underneath. Zach with the kill, and Blue Seahawks, they'll be taking it in 7.
Oh my, congratulations Blue Seahawks, the Florida Association of School Administrators champions. Man, and well earned it was. That was quite the series that we got to break through, but only one can come out on top, and they dug deep to get it. What a series. Expect no less than a 0-second opportunity there at the tail end. Multiple overtimes, multiple games within one. A true rivalry was born here today, Hill Monkey Matt.
Man, these two teams, Blue Seahawks, oh, they're going to be talking about this one for a while. Cape
Oh,
Coral High School and now Windermere. They are just going to be butting heads and hopefully, at least bucking fists as well. Good games across the board because that was just a great series. These two programs, when they've come together now twice across this fall semester, have not disappointed. Going game 5, Blue Seahawks took it regular time. In going game 7, in playoffs, Blue Seahawks take it. That is just well played, Rocket League. Kudos to the Wolverines, but even more to the Seahawks.
It was a testament of these two teams and what they're made of and what this area is made of as well. I'm learning a whole lot about the Florida Rocket League scene and how much heart they play with on a regular basis. They are absolutely excellent. And of course, hopefully have an opportunity to play at the collegiate level too. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Me and Hail Monkey Man, if you don't know, do cover a lot of that from the NECC to a lot of other places. Let's be frank. I was gonna name them all, but they're like NACE, so on and so forth. But they need to look into these opportunities. I feel like anybody could be a contributor here in this game, and they truly were. And that's what truly makes it special. But hey, Monkey Man, we have to go ahead and transition over. We've ran a little bit over, but we appreciate everybody for tuning in. What an incredible series that we left you with. Again, it'll be the Blue Seahawks wrapping up that best of 7 with a Game 7 victory. With 0 seconds left, or 7 seconds left on that clock. Incredible effort from them. We'll take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.